What's up, guys? Frank and Jimmy are back with our final segment for 2014. Frank, I think we had a good year this year.
Yes, we did. This is the first season of...
This is the first full season of Talk Wrestling with Jimmy and Frank. I'm looking forward to season 2 already. Now, guys, Frank and I are going to discuss the Royal Rumble, which is the next pay-per-view. And based on what happened last year, I don't think we can get any worse. Now, can we, Frank?
No.
Not at all. Last year's Royal Rumble was just a complete... Frank mentioned earlier this year that he thinks that this year's Royal Rumble that passed is going to be remembered as the changing of the guard. Frank, would you care to elaborate on that?
Well, yeah, you would have thought it was the changing of the guard, but after Daniel Bryan went down, things went back to the old way.
Unfortunately.
I mean, it was headed that way. You know, John Cena was starting to not be in the main event. And then as soon as Bryan went down...
Frank, don't you dare try to want John Cena to not be in the main events. You must be an internet fan. Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's retarded. All right. The Royal Rumble coming up. There are only 2 matches confirmed, the Rumble match and the title match, but I'll make a prediction. We may get Orton versus Rollins, but if they're smart, they'll save that for Mania. We may get Ryback versus Rusev. Again, if they're smart, they'll save it for Mania. I think we may get a tag team title rematch between the Usos and Miz and Mizdow. I think Mizdow is long overdue to turn on Miz, because the Miz is not over, and Mizdow is.
Yeah, they're going to probably start a feud.
We also have, like I mentioned, we have the title match, unfortunately, again. Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. And I'm going with Brock. I don't see Brock Lesnar losing the belt until WrestleMania. I think that's the ideal place for him to do it. That's where his last run started. This momentum that he's had. And I think to lose it to Cena would just be a waste, because you make John Cena be the one to be the guy that beat the guy that broke the streak. I don't think so.
I hope not.
I fucking hope not, because then nobody can turn around and say, oh, The Undertaker lost the streak, so that way the guy that beats Brock Lesnar could be more over. Really? John Cena? Get the fuck out of here. The guy's a 15-time world champion. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He don't need to be winning shit anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be put over anymore.
Absolutely. Thank you, Frank. So this way somebody else says it, so that way I don't look like a nutcase.
How much over could he be?
Thank you! Thank you!
I think he's surpassed Hulk Hogan.
And let's also be honest about something else. If his fans are that insecure that if he loses they won't buy his merchandise, then it's proof of failure. Right or wrong?
I agree.
Thank you. And we'll leave it at that. I'm going with Lesnar. How about you?
Again?
I'm going with Brock Lesnar to win that match. How about you?
I mean, I hope so, but you never know. They could pull a swerve. Who knows?
And then we get into now we get into the Royal Rumble match.
Also, I think they're gonna have Roman Reigns against Big Show.
You think so? I don't think that they're gonna have that match at the Rumble, because Reigns is gonna be in the Rumble match.
Oh, it's okay. He's another guy that's he's gonna be like Superman. So he's gonna beat Big Show in 5 minutes, and then he's gonna kick ass in the Royal Rumble.
There are several people that the fans are interested in whether they can win the Rumble or not. Roman Reigns is one, obviously, because the talk has been since last year that he's going to fight Brock, which I'm hoping doesn't happen because the guy just ain't ready. You know, I don't want him to get thrusted into the limelight before he's ready and then he falls flat, because I want to see the guy succeed. There's Dean Ambrose, who hasn't won a pay-per-view match since Payback.
I think that's going to be his role for a while. He doesn't need to win right now, though.
Seth Rollins.
He's money in the bank. He doesn't need to do it.
There's the potential of Randy Orton.
Yeah, I saw him on. He came out at the end of the Raw last night.
Yeah, there was but it was after the cameras went down, so it didn't happen live. There's Dolph Ziggler, apparently, is a dark horse to win the Rumble. And now, as of last night, Daniel Bryan is in the Rumble match.
Who's always the dark horse.
I mean,
he's always the underdog.
For me, personally, if I could pick a winner, I would pick Daniel Bryan hands down. He's the most popular guy in the company. He's the best wrestler in the world, and he's the people's champion right now.
I think he's going to be the first entrant in. That's going to be the authorities' welcome back present.
Let me tell you something. If Bryan wins the Rumble from the number 1 spot, I think I'll shit my pants.
Yeah, well, then if he does that, then you know he's definitely going to
beat Lesnar. There's no doubt. But like I said, if I had a second choice, I would say Dolph Ziggler.
I don't know. That after Monday, I mean, I don't know.
I don't want to see the good work that they did at Survivor Series be undone, either. I think Dolph Ziggler... Excuse me?
I said me neither, but you know WWE. They're gonna
no, I know. They know that they are the only company I know that knows how to kill a fucking push. I mean, they did it with Ryback. They did it with Cesaro. They did it with Bray Wyatt. They did it with Damian Sandow. They just know the precise buttons to push to kill. Except Daniel Bryan. They couldn't figure out that formula to kill his fucking push because the people wouldn't allow it.
Yeah. Hey, just off topic for a second. We forgot to mention the debut of the Ascension last night.
Yes. Yes.
What did you think about them?
See, me, I'm the wrong guy to ask that question to because I love anything that comes from NXT. I think that the NXT is infinitely better than Monday Night Raw. I don't think there's a single match on Monday Night Raw in the last year that even closely compares to a single NXT match from their pay-per-views.
I don't know, they came out like a mix of the Road Warriors, Demolition, Powers of Pace.
To me, they're the Ascension. I've seen them wrestle. I've seen them perform. They are good at what they do. They're not going to go. They're not going to go out there and throw arm drags like Ricky Steamboat. They're not going to do crazy inside cradles like Jack Briscoe. They're out there to kick the shit out of people, and I love watching them do it.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to see the crowd reaction. It's like the crowd didn't know.
Well, the crowd was kind of iffy because they really didn't have a lot of exposure at first, but give them some time. Believe me, they'll catch on.
Yeah.
Same thing with all the other guys from NXT. You wait till guys like Itami and Owens and Balor come up. Finn Balor will be in a big time WrestleMania match in the next 3 to 4 years. Guarantee it.
Right.
Guarantee it. The guy's too talented. Who's your pick to win the Rumble?
I guess you got to give it to Roman Reigns. I guess. I don't know. I mean, I hope not. I think maybe they might have cold feet because he might get booed.
I don't think it's in the same state that it was last year, just for the record.
Yeah. He might get booed. He might get booed out of the building because people feel like he's being forced down their throat. And especially if Lesnar wins every week, now that's going to be the match Reigns-Lesnar at WrestleMania. It's like too predictable. I really don't know. I guess I would say maybe Daniel Bryan should win.
Well, he's my pick. He's the guy I'm going with. If they are stupid enough to make the same mistake 2 years in a row, then they deserve what they get. That's all I'm going to say on that. If they're stupid enough to ignore the most popular guy in the business, again, by not having him win the Rumble, I'm not going to get upset, Frank. You know, last year I was pretty fucking pissed off that they didn't even put him in the Rumble match. But my attitude lately has been, fine, if you guys want to do stupid shit, you deserve what you get. But then I'll tell you this, and I think you and I will agree on this. If they do make the same mistake again, I don't want to hear anyone defending them.
At this point now it's like Roman Reigns is being forced down your throat, and the fans are going to reject it.
The fans got to have someone at the top that they love, not someone that the company loves, because he's got a look. They have to learn to not make the same mistakes with Roman Reigns that they made with John Cena. If they absolutely have to have Roman Reigns as their number one guy, which I, quite frankly, really don't have a problem with, because I like Roman Reigns. But I also don't want him to get pigeonholed into this John Cena mold. You don't have You don't have to look like Lou Ferrigno to be a big deal in wrestling. Guys like Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley and now Daniel Bryan is proof of that. And it's
you got to take into account if Bryan does go to WrestleMania and he beats Lesnar, you know they're going to have Seth Rollins cash in on him.
But I don't have a problem with that because then we're going to be given a Seth Rollins Daniel Bryan feud, and nevertheless, Bryan will go down in history as the guy that beat the guy that broke the streak.
Right. Okay. But I mean, would you be happy with that if at WrestleMania?
If Daniel Bryan gets a 3-count or a submission win over Brock Lesnar, you will not hear me complain.
Even if Seth Rollins comes in.
Even if Seth Rollins cashes in.
Another 10-second title reign by Daniel Bryan.
You want to know something, though? It won't matter. Because they'll never be able to take away the fact that he beat Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Isn't that a positive way of looking at it? I mean, would I prefer for him to keep the belt and then have Seth Rollins cash in at another time? Yeah. But you want to know what? If Daniel Bryan hits Brock Lesnar with a running knee to the face and beats him 1, 2, 3, or manages to get Lesnar to submit, because how many of us really expected Bryan to beat Batista via submission? None of us.
Oh, I agree. I think they should hold off on Rollins cashing in.
But I'll tell you what, if I was Seth Rollins and some guy just finished beating Brock Lesnar and he's barely alive, I would cash in on him too.
Yeah.
Because it's the most opportune time.
They could have a good feud.
Oh, listen, if the feud heading out of WrestleMania is Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins, you will not hear me complain. No. Because those two will put on a clinic. It'll be like Brett.
Really great.
It'll be like Brett and Shawn, only this time we'll get more than 2 or 3 matches.
Right.
Now that we've done that, and it seems like we always do this, but it's getting into that season. WrestleMania 31's around the corner, and I just want you to let me know what do you think we may see at WrestleMania, and then I'll get into mine.
Listen, if Reigns is not going to go for the belt, I think you could either have him go against Cena, or you could have. I think they should always have that triple threat match with all 3 Shield guys.
Oh, I would love that.
That'd be great. But
then what do you do with Cena?
Exactly.
That's the thing. You got to find a spot for everybody. What else do you think we're going to see at WrestleMania potentially?
Well, and everybody wants to see Taker against Sting. That'd be great. But now we hear that Triple H wants to go against Sting. I don't know. I mean, I know you want to see Sting.
Well, this is the little card that I came up with, and my sister kind of gave me a pretty damn good idea, which I will give her credit for. Thanks, Nicole. You'll know which match I'm talking about. My WrestleMania card would be this: the Ascension would go against the Usos, and would go against Golden Stardust in a 3-way elimination tag team title match, and the Ascension would rise and become the tag team champions. I would do Luke Harper as the Intercontinental Champion against Dean Ambrose, and you could go either way with that, because I think that the stepping stone to the WWE Championship should be the Intercontinental title. And I think both Luke Harper and Dean Ambrose are fucking excellent. They are excellent.
Yeah, I think they'd have a great match.
They would have a good chemistry. They've wrestled each other before in Independence. They would do great. I would also do Rusev as the United States Champion against Ryback. Because Rusev has never been beaten. And Ryback has never had any gold. And he's never had that WrestleMania moment. And the big guy has gotten over with the audience. So
I agree. I think you should. I think they should milk that until WrestleMania.
Absolutely, you milk it till Mania, and you do it right. And I would have the match end with Ryback beating him with the shell shock. Because can you imagine him getting him up with the shell shock and beating him? That crowd would explode.
I agree.
Another match I would do, and I would drag it out until WrestleMania, would be Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. Because Randy Orton was taken up by the Authority at the hands of Seth Rollins. And you can do that match, and it makes sense.
I think that would be a great match.
They could do something at the Rumble or at Fastlane, but have it end in a disqualification to where they can keep it going to rest. Hell, make the match a street fight. Because it's a grudge match. Make it a street fight. Anything wrong with that?
No, I think that's a great match. I think that they would pull it off.
I would do the next Andre the Giant Battle Royal, but this time, I would make it to where the winner is guaranteed a championship match at SummerSlam. So that way you already know that when you win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, you're not only the winner of that trophy in honor of Andre, you are the number one contender going into SummerSlam, regardless of who the champion is. And the winner of that...
I like that idea, but
I know they don't think long term, but you have to start doing that to make your programs more passable. Long-term booking always wins over fly-by-night booking. And the winner of that battle...
Have to make it for a number one contender. Like, you become the number one contender.
Yes, but I also wouldn't do it for Extreme Rules, because if someone is crowned the new champion, or if there's a cash-in, that number one contender is the odd man out. So that's why you guarantee it for SummerSlam, and you promote the fuck out of it. And the winner of that Battle Royal would be Bray Wyatt, and he would become the champion at SummerSlam, for me. He would finally get the belt, and he would become the Eater of Worlds, he would become the biggest bad guy in wrestling, and eventually he would transition into babyface, because I think that Bray Wyatt, as an anti-establishment, anti-hero, would be great against the Authority. More so than Daniel Bryan. I think he fits, because Bray Wyatt's a hillbilly from friggin' Louisiana. He don't fit the mold of a WWE champion. He would be perfect in that role.
I just remember that they were talking about Bray Wyatt and Undertaker WrestleMania.
I would not... With the streak dead, that match makes no sense.
Yeah. I read somewhere like where Bray Wyatt's going to steal the Undertaker's urn, and he's going to make it part of his character.
No, that would be so retarded. That would be so retarded. Please.
They want to make Bray Wyatt like the next Undertaker.
Yeah, there is no next Undertaker. I think.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. Listen, I have said Bray Wyatt is the next psychological character, but there's only one Undertaker.
Right.
All right. To keep the card going, the next match I would do is the match you mentioned, Roman Reigns versus John Cena. Because the reason this match would work, and even though to my friend Joe, who I was talking to earlier today, he said it would feel too much like Cena versus Cena, you want to get people to cheer Roman Reigns, put him in there with somebody the crowd hates. And who does the crowd, the wrestling fans, hate more than John Cena? Nobody. Except maybe Vince McMahon. So you put Roman Reigns in the ring with John Cena, the fans got to choose, and they're never going to choose Cena. Regardless of what you guys on the page think, John Cena is a hated man.
He's a heel, all right.
Look at every single Big Four pay-per-view that he's been at. Survivor Series, on his own team, they were the good guys. He was booed. At SummerSlam, they were cheering the guy that broke the streak to kill him. Booed. WrestleMania, against a nobody, Bray Wyatt at the time. He was the young guy was cheered. He was booed. Royal Rumble, when he wrestled Randy Orton, they were cheering for Daniel Bryan. Look at the SummerSlam before that, when he wrestled Daniel Bryan. The fans were happy that Cena lost the belt to Bryan. I don't know what more validation they need from the fans that they don't fucking like this guy.
They love the boom.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And for years I've been saying that Cena should be giving the fans a reason to hate him, but he doesn't, because he's a fucking idiot. So I would have Roman Reigns face John Cena, and Roman Reigns would beat him. Passing of the torch. Bye-bye, Cena. Have fun with your water slide in Tampa. Bye, pal. The next match I would do is Triple H versus Dolph Ziggler. And the reason this match would work is because who was the guy that eliminated most of the Authority's team at Survivor Series? I don't give a shit what anyone says about Sting, and I love Sting. He's my second favorite wrestler of all time. Dolph Ziggler was the one that won the match. He eliminated Rusev via countout. He eliminated Kane, Luke Harper, and Seth Rollins via pinfall. Triple H should cost Dolph Ziggler the Intercontinental title and then have Dolph Ziggler go after Triple H with a vengeance. And Triple H would put the kid over.
I think they would have a great match. I just don't think the promos would be too good. For some reason,
They would have to be worked into a work shoot. The promos would have to be work shoot. Dolph Ziggler should turn around and fucking say, you know what? Because I told everyone what they already think about you and Randy Orton, my push got killed. Isn't that convenient? Shoot with it!
They have potential. It's just...
Shoot with it! Because the fans will totally be behind Ziggler in that match. Hey, can you imagine the pop he would get if he beats Triple H?
Yeah, maybe have a stipulation where...
I don't know. I don't care what it is. As long as Dolph Ziggler gets the pinfall victory over Triple H, I don't give a shit what you do with it. You could make it a street fight, last man standing, non-sanctioned, the authorities power on a pole match. I don't care. Dolph Ziggler going over Triple H would be big, and it would make Dolph Ziggler an instant main eventer permanently.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be any surprise what the next match I would do. Hang on. Stay right there, Frank. Don't move. I'm holding up one of my Christmas gifts that my sister painted for me, and it's The Undertaker against Sting. Beautiful painting. When you see it on YouTube later, Frank, you got to tell me what you think, because Nicole spent a lot of time, thank you, Nick, I love you, putting that painting together for me. I don't know if a lot of you guys are aware, but I started my own blog on WordPress.com. My friend Joe Calabrese, thanks Joe, tipped me off that it was a good way to get shit out, and I started my own blog. I posted it on my Instagram and on my Facebook, and a lot of people took to it. I wrote my own storyline on how The Undertaker and Sting could come together, and it's very simple. And I'm not going to go through all of it because we ain't got enough time. Taker comes out after you promote that he's going to be there to discuss his future, much like you did with Daniel Bryan, but you do it like a week or two in advance to give people a chance to tune in. Taker basically comes out and says, listen, I'm done. I lost the streak. It's more than my soul can bear. I'm going back to the dark side, and I'm not coming back. And the second he's about to walk out the ring, Sting shows up. And he turns around and he says, Taker, you ain't done. You got one fight left, old man. Taker and him could banter back and forth, and Taker will eventually leave. Then, a week or two later, you have Vince come out with the ring set for like a contract signing or something, and basically what it is The Undertaker signing away his ties to the WWE. Sting would then...
How about if they both get inducted this year to the Hall of Fame?
We'll get to that at the end. I'm
saying that would make that match even better.
I have no problem with that at all, but Taker would be the headliner.
Yeah, I'm saying that you have two Hall of Fame.
I would have no problem with them inducting. I even heard a rumor that that's what they're going to do. They're going to induct Taker. But continuing with my story, Sting would take a baseball bat to the contract and the table bearing the contract. And then Taker would finally lash out, because at this point I would have Taker be very reserved and not really show a lot of anger, because he's trying to give off that he's lost it. Now that he lost the streak, he lost his will to fight. And then Taker will finally lash out and say, what more do you, and for better, what more do these people want from me? I gave you 24 years of my life, of my body and my soul. I have nothing left to give. And that's where Vince pulls out a contract from his breast pocket and says, have Vince call him by his real name, for all I give a fuck. If it's his last match, and that's how I would book.
Not break his character.
Not break his character, but Vince could go over to him and say, listen, Mark, your work is not done yet, my friend. Give the people what they want. Lays the contract in the ring, and then when Sting goes to sign it, Taker could turn around and say, listen, I'll do this, but on one condition. I know it sounds familiar. I'm not going to wrestle ever again after this. But if I take this match, you're coming with me. In other words, it's Taker and Sting's last match. And that's how you have to promote it. It would have to be promoted. It's the last time you're going to see Sting, and it's the last time you're going to see The Undertaker. And whether you decide to induct them this year, next year, whenever, Personally, I would induct The Undertaker in Texas Stadium. Because people would fucking turn out to say goodbye to him. I believe he's a big enough star that people would pack out that fucking Hall of Fame just to say goodbye to him.
I think they'll pack it out, wherever it is.
Absolutely. I'm not just saying that they would do it in Texas, but I'm saying that if you promoted it long enough that next year The Undertaker's going in the Hall of Fame, they'll fill that fucking building up because The Undertaker's a big enough legend for that. And I would have Taker win the match. Because Taker's...
He definitely has to win.
There shouldn't be a schmaz. One guy can win, only one guy can win, and only one guy can lose, and it's their last match.
Like I said, if you induct both Sting and Undertaker this year, that'll be even more special.
Oh, it would make it even more special, absolutely. And the final match that I would do at WrestleMania is Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. That's the money match. Because... especially if Bryan's coming off winning the Rumble. Could you imagine the momentum he would have?
Listen, that's the ultimate underdog match. You know?
And Mick Foley
coming back from injury. Can he beat?
Mick Foley said it on his fucking Facebook. Give Paul Heyman full creative reign and let him bring out the best in Daniel Bryan and let the two of them just kick the shit out of each other. Because don't forget, Brock Lesnar spent a lot of time in Japan. That guy, I will never take away from Brock Lesnar's athletic ability. That guy is a fucking animal. He and Daniel Bryan would put on a match that would probably go down as the greatest one-on-one main event of WrestleMania. Because The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels at 25 was not the main event. It is the greatest match of all time, in my opinion. But Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar would become a very close second. I have enough faith in them as performers that they would carry it off. And you mentioned Daniel Bryan had a bad fucking neck. And Brock Lesnar could turn and say, I almost broke The Undertaker's neck. What do you think I'll do to you?
Right.
And whether you decide to have Seth Rollins cash in on Bryan at the end or not, it doesn't matter. Because can you imagine those people in California going ballistic with Daniel Bryan having Brock Lesnar on the ropes and then he beats him? That guy will be even more over than he is now. And he's more over than everyone else in the company.
Yeah, that'll fit his character.
Can you imagine, Frank, you describe to our audience what that reaction would be.
The place to go ape shit.
It's terrible because this is so... You know how long it took for me to come up with this card, Frank? At least 10 to 15 minutes. And that's what frustrates me as a wrestling fan, because it doesn't take a lot of brains, which I do have. It doesn't take a lot of brains to book a fucking wrestling show. You just gotta follow through what the fans want. You have to create angles that make sense, and you have to keep it simple. It's not that hard. And before we wrap it up, I just want to mention names that I think are going to go in the Hall of Fame this year. If they don't put Taker and Sting in, I'm thinking The Rock, The Macho Man, Ravishing Rick Rude, Vader, Rikishi, the New Age Outlaws, and the women's edition would be Mickie James. Who do you see getting inducted this year?
I guess I think they should put the Undertaker and Sting in. And is Ricky Sting in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, he is. He was inducted. He was inducted the year of WrestleMania 25.
Who'd you mention?
I mentioned Vader. I mentioned the New Age Outlaws. I mentioned Rikishi, Macho Man, and The Rock.
All right, maybe I would put the Macho Man in there this year.
Absolutely. If I could throw in two more names, but I don't think they'll add them because that's a lot of names. Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody.
Oh God, yeah, they deserve it.
Absolutely. I would love it if Bruiser Brody was inducted the same year as The Undertaker, because Bruiser Brody had Taker's first match in the Sportatorium.
Oh, really?
And guess who The Undertaker's manager was that night for his first match?
Paul Heyman?
Guy by the name of Percy Pringle, a.k.a. Paul Bear.
No shit.
I swear to Christ. Paul Bear he said he had an interview. He said the only reason they put me out there was so that way I could guide Mark to the back, because he knew that Bruiser Brody was going to whip his ass all over that Sportatorium. I would love to. I can't wait to hear the stories that The Undertaker will probably tell about his first few years in the business. Because, think about this. The Undertaker was told he would never amount to anything in wrestling by the WCW staff.
Well, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't, because he's a fucking legend now.
WCW, how many stars did they lose?
Austin, Foley, The Rock, Triple H, and The Undertaker. That's basically the whole Attitude Era.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know about that company. But anyways, guys, Frank and I are going to wrap up. We've had fun on this show. We've had some laughs. We've had some arguments. But I have to say, Frank, I enjoyed every second talking to you on this show. And I'm already looking forward to 2015. Hopefully we'll have more positive things to say. And I love it, man. I love you, and I'm glad. I love this show, and I have a great time.
I agree.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap up, and we will see you at the Royal Rumble. See you in 2015.